Hey, hi everyone. I was having a little bit of a problem going live. Sometimes it takes a minute for the computer to do its thing. How's everybody doing? Happy Sunday. Have happy brunch. I hope everyone is doing really great uh this Sunday. I had my annual exam yesterday. Hopefully, all of you are doing similar things, making sure to see a doctor at least once a year to have your annuals. Everybody doing that? Everybody seeing the dentist? I see a dentist like once a month. I got tons of stuff going on in there. Anyway, so I went to my annual yesterday. I was totally prepared for high cholesterol, hyperlipidemia. I have a cholesterol. And then my hemoglobin A1C. Things look great. So I don't know. Like a lot of us, you get a bit naughty during COVID, but then I snapped out of it. So I'm going mostly plant-based, trying to get that cholesterol down. Yeah. I was doing it wrong before, which is very difficult for a naturopathic doctor to admit to, but I struggled a lot with plant-based diet, and I now realize I wasn't eating enough protein and nuts. That was the issue. So I upped my protein, I lowered my sugars, and I increased my nuts. Success. Feeling much better. Well, before we get started, I want to just welcome Kathleen Presley to Elders, Empaths, and Healers. Thank you for joining. It's wonderful to see people joining the Empaths journey. We teach on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. That's Pacific Standard Time. If you can join the private videos if you decide to join us. And it's great. We get together with people and we teach you how to do something which is innate to your humanity, right? Heart-centered remote viewing, which was invented by nobody other than maybe the universe, the great spirit, call it what you will. But I love sharing HCRV with people because I really think that empathy is a huge part of our humanity, and we've kind of fallen away from that, haven't we? That human beings are actually unbelievably empathetic, and we've been taught to not trust ourselves, to not trust our gut, and so we wind up being shut off from our own humanity and empathy. And so it's wonderful. It's wonderful when we get new people joining us on Tuesdays. We do a lot of practice so that people start getting comfortable with the technique. So good on you, Kathleen Presley. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's get together, today's Sunday brunch is again for Feeding America. That is the not-for-profit that we're working for again. I've stayed with that one on Sundays just because we got a problem, folks. We got a problem with hunger in America, with the inflation, etc. So we're going to go ahead and continue to raise money for feedamerica.org. So thank you everyone who's been donating. We're almost at 4,000. It would be great if by the end of the day we had raised $4,000 for the charity. All right. Hi, Sue Malik. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you here. Pierre Walker is our moderator extraordinaire. We honor and thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Patricia Jones, always good to see her. Geocosmic Valentine, wonderful to see her. Be sure and check out her YouTube channel. She is a heart-centered remote viewer. She is training. She's also an unbelievable astrologer. If you'd like to get a session with her, if you'd like to see how empathy technique and astrology can work in harmony together. Also, she's going to be doing a video on Meghan and Harry and their relationship, which I'm very excited about. Wise Liz D is in the house. Welcome, welcome. Night's End. Hello, hello. Douglas, we honor you. Thank you so much. He is also a wonderful moderator and he's helped us a lot here. Maria Sante, hello. 15th Fret. Welcome, welcome. Desiree Rabato, good to see you. Bugs Bunny in the house, always wonderful to see her. Queen, Super Queen B45, also training as a remote viewer. Great to see you here. Sharon DJ, Arnica Luffling, Alexandra Montclair, Joel Wilson, Tilson, excuse me. Good to see you, Joel. I believe you were also in a training class, weren't you recently? Anyway, good to see you. Jane, the Secret Tarot, good to see you as well. So, how is everybody doing? Let me tell you, folks, you don't want to be where I was last night. Let's just get that. We're going to start with the remote views. Is everybody ready to hear about last night's meditation? I did it. You don't want to be where I was last night. Oh my God. Do I look tired? Do I look tired, America? Oh my gosh. It kept waking me up and it went on and on. And you want to see, you know that remote viewers, we do. Thank you, Linda Hepburn, for donating $10 to feedingamerica.org. Let me tell you. Does this look like fun to you? This is my map from last night and today. That's what we got to get through, folks. This is what you see. This is what we got to get through. Why? Why do we do this? All right. So I look exhausted, don't I? So we're ready to rock and roll. Okay. So last night's remote view, I thought I would pop into the State Department. You know, got nothing better to do. So you do a remote view where you try to put yourself in a target. So the target was the State Department. I feel rather tired just talking about this. So as I went into the State Department, it compromised people that were working. Here's how it goes. Or I'm exhausted. So compromised people in the State Department who had been, when Putin said that when I asked in the remote, what were certain people compromised, like Trump was compromised, his response was that you take out Trump, there's 500 more where they came from, because so many people have been compromised. The Russians have been working on this stuff, sleeper cells, etc., 20, 30 years. There's tons of people that have been compromised. So you go into the State Department and the State Department's been compromised. And the State Department's been compromised for a very long time. So this was something that really became the focus for Putin, was the State Department and the State Department policies. And so after Libya, right, after the bombing of Libya, we know because we went back and we checked the remote, Gaddafi was killed, and the contracts that Gaddafi had to buy Russian steel and to work with Russia in order to build a train system from Tripoli into Africa was squashed. I mean, they cut off this relationship at the knees between Putin and Gaddafi, and it goes back to this idea of trade routes, right? It would have been a $1 trillion business for Putin, and it would have opened up new trade and new infrastructure into Africa from Libya, and it would have been a lot of money. And this is what Putin was talking about when he was screaming about his trade routes. We basically blew up his trade route, right? So what happened was that he started doubling down on compromised people in the State Department, and he did that through the RNC. So RNC, people that were working for the State Department. And so that in and of itself is an investigation into following the money into the State Department. And anybody that was not willing to toe the line of what was going to be the new Kremlin State Department had to go. So of course they went after Hillary Clinton and blamed her for Libya. What was Putin's anger about Libya? He lost his trade route. This is all coming together, but don't ever do this alone. Don't ever try this alone. It's a mess. We're gonna get through this, but anyway, so he that was his issue with Libya, so he has to get rid of Hillary Clinton, and so he works with compromised people to build a platform to go after Hillary Clinton, and then anybody in the State Department who is not towing the line, the pro-Russian line, has to go. So when she goes, when Trump brings in a new person, that person doesn't toe the line. So he gets rid of that person from the State Department. Eventually, he gets to Pompeo because Pompeo was compromised. So now we have an investigation by the Justice Department that's going to come out exposing everything that's going on in the State Department. The Justice Department is going after the State Department, and specifically, there's a lot of swirling investigations that are going on around Pompeo. And it goes back to this issue, you guessed it, trade. So Pompeo's policies about the Ukraine, Pompeo's policies about Syria, Pompeo's policies about Afghanistan, Pompeo's anywhere, Iraq, right? Pulling back, and the idea was to open up trade. And so Putin's main focus was the State Department. Does everybody get that? So when people ask, what has the Justice Department ever done for us? What is the this is the stuff that the Justice Department is now having to deal with. A compromised, serious problem. It's almost like sleeper cells. It went on for years in the State Department working on changing policies, and anybody that wasn't towing Putin's line had to go. Is this starting to make sense? Kept me up all night. So the State Department is up under investigation. All right, the second investigation has to do with compromised persons inside Homeland Security. This is gonna result in a series of hearings on the state level and on the federal level. So look out for that, make a note of that. You can tell your friends about it. It's always fun when we get the news 3 weeks early. But you're going to start seeing a series of state hearings at the state level in Michigan, as well as federal investigations into Homeland Security and how certain things were able to happen, like the protest at the Capitol in Michigan. But what's interesting is when you go into this energy on the State Department and Homeland Security, I'm seeing a lot of hearings. But what's interesting in the Homeland Security and Michigan is that there's also a lot blowing up on the state level. Okay, we got through that. The FBI, there's going to be a public shaming taking place of the FBI. I was all over the place last night. So this goes back to I feel like I need to go back to bed. I haven't even finished. Remember we had talked about the fact that there would be a series of hearings where the intelligence agencies would be sitting in the Senate and they would be interrogated, and we would want to know where the hell were you for the last 10 years, 5 to 10 years, or however long this took. Do you remember us talking about that? Those of you who are old timers, we want to know how this happened. We want to know how Michigan happened. We want to know what happened with Homeland. Where the hell was our security at the State Department? Who was securing the State Department? So this means that people in high positions of power are going to be sitting in the Senate in Congress, and we, the American people, and there's a great deal of anger that's starting to emerge from this, want to know where the hell they were. How did you allow this to happen? And as I was meditating on this, I realized a lot of it has to do with this idea that's been going about since the 80s. It's really been emphasized a lot since the 80s that the best thing that you can do as an American is be a capitalist. Well, capitalism is a system where you try to make as much money as possible from your business by selling things cheap and depressing the wages of your employees. And this is somehow patriotic. But what it means is that the most patriotic thing you can do is be greedy and love money, right? Which goes back to what she had said about this new America, right? That they've kind of sold us this bill of goods that loving money, depressing employee wages, being out to make as much money as possible somehow has something to do with being a patriotic American. But it goes back to the idea of how were we able to have so many different agencies compromised? And so I think spring, summer of 2022, we're going to start seeing finally the arc, right? We talk about as remote viewers, right? There's a lot of remote viewers here today, by the way. Good to see you all. These are trained remote viewers, right? We tell you to step back and observe. Your body is doing all kinds of things as an empath. You're noticing, but you're watching. We take you to the brink of death and we level it off a bit, right? That's the joke about HCRV. The idea is that you are observing and you're watching the rise and the fall of the energy, but you're not taking a personal view of it. It has nothing to do with me. And I talked 2 years ago about the fact that this is going to result in hearings where these intelligence agencies are going to have to answer for their incompetency. How the hell did this happen in the FBI? How the hell did this happen in the State Department, in Homeland Security? Where the hell were our patriotic Americans who were supposed to be public servants keeping us safe? Well, they were getting bribed, they were getting compromised. So expect the FBI to be publicly shamed in these hearings. I think by summer, if people are asking. Also, the FBI is under investigation. Compromised people and people that didn't want to toe the line were either pushed out, terrorized, or threatened at their jobs. Same thing was happening in Homeland Security and the State Department. I couldn't get much information on the NSA. It looked like they were collecting data. Whether they were compromised or not, I don't know. I couldn't get in. I also couldn't get into the CIA last night. So I had 2 areas I couldn't get into. Maybe other remote viewers want to try, but the NSA and the CIA, I was blocked. The Justice Department was also compromised. I got in and there were people that were giving warnings but they're also pushing people out, etc. And here's the thing that came out that I thought was the most shocking about last night's remote: state governors. So this means that they're going to be following the money about potential bribes. Arizona, Texas, Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana, Florida. State governors themselves are under criminal investigation. Bribes, compromised, blackmailing schemes. This just feels like a huge explosion of hearings in the summer where the American people, there's just this rage that starts to come up. Have you all taken bribes? Have you all been compromised? Sure, because the greatest thing you can do as an American is be rich. So it's an opportunity for us as American citizens to realize that we are part of this country and we have to decide what the values and ethics of this country are. Is it all about capitalism and getting rich? Or is there some other reason that we exist? And I think that there's going to be some real soul searching by this summer. The last remote I did was on Giuliani, and from what I can understand, the main he may have been compromised as early as 1998 when with the mob, etc. But they really went in hard with him at 2001 after 9/11, based on what I saw. And this had to do with the fact that he was already involved. There was some communication between him and the Russian mob, but then Putin's policies regarding Chechnya, Saudi Arabia, the fact that he had gotten attacked by Chechnya, which was armed Muslim extremist, funded by Saudi Arabia, America's ally. The fact that we became victims of that ourselves in 9/11, that was the turning point of Giuliani, based on what I saw. Other organizations that are under investigation for suppressing data, taking bribes, putting science at the back burner in order to make profits and keep the wheels of the profits moving. FDA is under investigation, CDC and the USDA. COVID, we talked about that being suppressed, the fact that COVID could be transferred to animals because it's zoonotic. We get it from animals, we give it back to animals. And yes, the employees at the slaughterhouses, it wasn't about just overcrowding. The animals were infected and they were covering it up, FDA and the USDA, and they were selling people contaminated meat, dairy, etc., and suppressing data to make a profit. That's going to come out. That was my night. I think I need a cup of coffee. What do you think? So we can talk about it. Is everybody thoroughly pissed off? Yeah, good. And the birds are dying in certain areas. Can we say with absolute certainty this isn't COVID? SARS is avian flu, comes from birds, right? So why wouldn't the birds get COVID? And why wouldn't a percentage of them die? Why not? I don't understand. I'm a scientist. I'm a trained scientist. Why wouldn't they? It's SARS COVID-19. Why wouldn't the birds get it? I was thinking about that today. Somebody said, it's my right not to get vaccinated. It's my right. It's my right. And I thought, and it's my right to have a gremlin. And if I want to feed that gremlin after midnight and get it wet, by golly, I will, because it's my gremlin. That's kind of how I feel about people that don't want to wear masks. It's my right. It's my right to put my health and everybody else's health at risk by creating new mutations so that this nightmare will never end, right? Oh, I'm exhausted. See, if I keep this up, I'm never going to sleep on Saturday night. Yes, the deer have it. So, but SARS came from, and so did the 1918 epidemic, right? Sure it did, right? Because it was swine flu, right? But the swine flu came from, because it passed from the chickens in Kansas and Missouri to the swine, and from there to the army bases. So why wouldn't it go the other way? So that's the other thing we have to think about. Anyway, so that was the remotes. It was a lot. I knew it was going to take a while to get through it. Look at that. Look at these investigations. This is what a remote viewer's map looks like. If you're learning remote viewing, you start with a target, and then a lot of the time I'll go backward from the target. Like I'll find the emotion of Giuliani, and then I'll ask why, and then he'll tell me something, why, tell me something, why, and I'll go back. I work back. That's personally how it works best for me. It's better than a date. She was very tired, but for all the wrong reasons. Yes. All right, so, I think we'll do the collective. Uh, so collective is gonna start at, 25 minutes. Anybody wants to keep notes? I always forget to do this. But we're gonna do the empath's prayer and the collective unless anybody else has something they wanna ask or say about the remotes. Like I said, I was all over the place. Also, maybe you can tell me why I didn't get into the NSA and the CIA. I couldn't get in. I mean, I'll tell the truth. If I can't get in, I can't get in. I couldn't get in. Okay, let's do the empath's prayer and we'll see what message we have from spirit about our week. Sound good, everybody? Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. Let's go in. Hi, Mila. You want to come say hi? Oh, really, geocosmic? I couldn't get into the CIA. Could not get in. I could get into the State Department. I could get into other places. But I couldn't get into CIA and SA. I was blocked. It was very strange. Static. I got static. She gets headaches when she goes, yeah. I just got static. I'll try again if you guys want me to. All right, where you guys are at. So a lot of people have been talking about they're worried about the economy, they're worried about things being unsettled because of what's going on in Europe right now. But the main thing they want people to take away from this time in your life is to just focus on taking care of yourselves and to know that in many ways things really are becoming better. It may not feel this way. It's darkest before the dawn, right? Trust that good people are in the White House, that good people are in the State Department, the Justice Department, the FBI. There are good people and they are the Pentagon, the military. These were all compromised, Homeland. But this is a time for us to really realize that cooler heads will prevail, that things are getting better, and that we are going to be okay. It's really important for us to just focus on what we can control in our own lives and not be overtaken or overwhelmed by all of this. If we were allowed to see all this information, I would like to believe it's because spirit feels that we're ready to handle it and that the people look, it was scary before. Now this stuff is coming out because the good people are in control now, right? So it's really important for us to realize that we got to the other side right? It was rocky waters. We were frightened. We were scared. But now we look behind us and say, wow, that was really scary, but it's going to be okay now. It may not feel that way, but we really are going to be okay. The karma card is the Six of Swords. You can see that the rocky waters lie in the past, but the smooth waters lay ahead. So the worst of it is actually coming to the end. And that includes our economy. I always feel, contrary to what the preppers want us to think, when I go forward, that in many ways the economy becomes better because it becomes more egalitarian. I see a lot of people starting their own businesses. I see a lot of great readers and remote viewers getting the proper training, right? Ethical readers, good readers, people who have studied their ethics, who have done their homework. Those are the people that are out there doing the good work. And bad people don't keep their job for very long, right? Eventually, it comes out that they did something they shouldn't have done, right? So when we think about the angels who fight for truth, which angel do we think about who carries the sword of truth and truth will prevail? When we go into that energy of pure truth, divine truth, irrefutable, which archangel is that? Does anybody know? Fights the devil and wins, right? Don't have to be afraid of the truth, right? The truth will set you free. It's okay. It's Archangel Michael who holds the sword of truth. Very good, Foggy Ozark. Sarah Wilson got it right. Pierre Walker, Vivian, lovely. He holds the sword of truth and the clouds part. Look at this. You see those clouds are just kind of going away. Sunny skies are coming. The birds are coming back from the north. Sun is starting to approach. And smoother waters prevail. So take heart, whatever's going on in your life, the truth will prevail. You're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And this planet is going to be okay. It's just a little turbulence, right? But it goes back to something that we teach in our HCRV class, which is that our innate humanity is to be empaths and to be compassionate and to love ourselves and to love one another. And we lost our way, but we always return back to that because it's fundamentally who we are. Where we're at right now, we've been carrying the load for other people for too long. Ask yourself if you're genuinely helping or if you are being codependent in your relationships. Sometimes we have to carry the load for people and we are helping. Other times we're actually harming the other person. So be sure that you're not carrying the load for other people. Stoicism's been coming a lot to me lately. The Queen of Swords who puts the past behind her, again, using the imagery of clouds. And then the sunny sky is ahead, the clouds leaving. And then this reminds me of that song. You guys know that song? I can see clearly now the rain is gone. We should sing it together. I can see all the obstacles in my way. You guys know that? Down at gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Reason prevails. The Emperor sits above us. Oh, we retain our compassion. Be level-headed. This is a message from Spirit. Be calm, be centered. That's the best thing you can do for other people. The waters of chaos are around him, but he remains stable. Doesn't impact him. It goes back to like our training as HCRV practitioners, right? We observe it, we observe the chaos. This is kind of like HCRV, isn't it? Those of you who train. We sit there and we observe the crazy, but we're the observer. We're not taken in by it, right? We kind of like, oh, okay, document, 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 right? What we're coming out of, King of Swords. It's a lot about reason, the clouds coming behind us, being single-minded, fighting the good fight, not allowing ourselves. Some of us are still carrying the load for too many people. Be careful about codependent relationships. Addictive behaviors still come as a challenge for this community. Too much alcohol, too much sugar, too much marijuana, temperance in all things, right? We still are having a challenge in our relationships, codependency. The fact that the 10 of Wands is there could be carrying the heavy load. It's very difficult to be human, particularly when we see the people we love and care about suffering. We want to carry the load for them, right? But be careful, it's not codependence. Empathy. There's a lot of cards here about empathy, but tempered by reason. Others in relationship to us. The King of Pentacles. You know, we can't expect, even if we feel that others should be behaving a certain way, or that people are not being completely honest with us in life, we still have to just go about our business. We have no control over others. We have to determine for ourselves whether or not a relationship is good for us or not. This is a time also when we may have to just accept people as they are and walk away from relationships. Walking away from the battles we can't win. The final outcome for this community is that we take responsibility for our lives. We take responsibility for creating heaven on earth where we are at, for our morals, for our ethics, for conducting our business the best that we can, the most ethically we can, and understanding, you know, it goes back to the serenity prayer. Accept the things I cannot change, the wisdom to know the difference. Power to change the things I can, right? So the Magician comes as the outcome. You are unbelievably powerful so long as you use your energy wisely, so long as you use your energy to take control over your life. If your energy is being zapped by carrying the load for other people, then that becomes a problem. You're not helping them, you're not helping yourself. The clarification for us this week. Some of you are going to be having new relationships. I keep seeing love and romance for some of you. Not me, I'm done. Well, unless somebody like really cute shows up, you know, like, you know, Scott Cohen from the 10th Kingdom. Yeah. Romance is coming for some of us in the spring if you're looking for love. Meditation and manifestation will be a big part of your life the coming months. Understanding the difference between love and nurture and justice and codependency is a lesson we'll all be working on. And those of us who want marriage, love, and romance have the power to manifest it this year, if that's what you want. Never say never. I know. I cannot afford another vacation, but I'm like, okay, if I live on rice and beans for another 2 months, maybe I can go to another cruise or something, and then maybe I'll meet somebody cute. I don't know. Anyway, that was the weekly reading. Take care of yourselves. Understand that what you can control and what you can't control. Wasting time on things you can't control is debilitating you, and it's preventing you from, it's actually diminishing your power. Focusing on what you can do, your own ethics, your own values, your own business, your own moral compass places you in a position of great power. And if you want love and romance, if that's what you seek, you'll be able to manifest it probably this year. So we can go ahead and do some blitzes. I just need to get the order. And it looks like from what people are telling me, they want to look at the Ukraine first and foremost. People are really upset about it. So I'm happy to do that. And I think somebody else had asked me about if I could go back in to take a look at the truckers. I just need to get the order on the Blitz. Oh, okay, I got it. Blitz, blitz, blitz away. Thank you, Pierre Walker. Thank you, Douglas. All right, so the first blitz that everybody asked me to take a look at, people are really upset about what happened in the Ukraine blitzkrieg. It looks like, for those people who don't know, Putin has 130,000 Russian troops in the area. Biden and Putin talked yesterday. It was a 1-hour phone call. Biden basically told him that he would regret it if he invaded the Ukraine. He's saying, I'm not invading the Ukraine. When I looked at previous remotes with Putin, and if we look at the history of Putin, this is not usually how he goes to war. So this is highly unusual for him. So I don't know what's going on. Usually he likes to, if he does engage in a military action, whether it's in Syria or Kazakhstan, it's usually, and even in Crimea, very few Russian lives are lost. He tends to send his people into situations where there's a low risk of mortality. So that's why I'm a little surprised by this. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Ukraine. And if Putin is going to, Putin's temper tantrum. Yes, Joel, exactly. And thank you, everyone who's been donating to Feeding America. It looks like we did hit 4,000 in donations. And I'm sure the people that receive those benefits are really appreciating the help. What's going on with the Ukraine? Is Putin going to invade the Ukraine? Okay. You know, his advisors, the people that work for him, his military, are giving him a lot of honest answers, which you got to admit takes a lot of courage to be a general in Russia and to sit Putin down and say, let me level with you here. You're really walking into a very dangerous situation. But when we go into this energy with Putin, what we see is his generals and him giving it to him straight. His karma, the truth, Putin, the military, the truth about the military. Also, Archangel Michael holds his sword, right? He doesn't, he's holding it. He's ready to go in, but he holds it. Where Putin's at right now, he feels defensive. This is something I've been feeling when I go in as a remote viewer. I feel like I keep going further and further into this, and I don't have a way to get out without saving face. He feels 9 of Wands, defensive. It's almost like we got to give him an out. Threatening him shames him, and then you're going to threaten me. Well, I'm going to threaten you. There's got to be a way to shake hands and work this out, because I don't think he wants to go to war, which is not, look, I keep seeing a treaty. Let's take a look, relax, let's be reasonable. That's Putin, right? And then he passively aggressively does something underhanded, or bribes somebody, or steals something, or re-examining the treaties, right? The treaties, the trade. It's always the same thing with him. He's like a broken record, right? Oh, is that Lama Bryant the mix? See, I don't even know this stuff. I can't keep up. You folks are much smarter than me. Feels defensive. He feels defensive because of contracts, treaties. What is above him? He's in a position of strength, right? I've got 100 and I got my cojones out, right? I've got my troops. He feels that he could potentially be victorious. What he's coming out of, a refusal to negotiate. Pretty easy to read these. And what he's entering into, mastery. People are hammering out an emergency peace treaty. Look at this. Boom, 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 boom. The masters quickly working together to try and come up with a way to avoid this. Pretty cool to look at these cards, isn't it? Where he's at right now, no money, no honey, right? Trade, money, the loss of revenue when the Soviet Union collapsed, the loss of roads, the loss of infrastructure, the loss of the pipeline in Kazakhstan, right? No money, no honey. Pay me. You don't want me to go to war? You want to continue to block our trade? You want to continue to make it so that I can't go anywhere? You blocked me. You blew up my damn trade in Libya. I had no choice. That's what he says. I had no choice. We're hammering away a deal. Don't hit anybody yet. Let's see if we can't work this out. Okay, no money, no honey. Let me have my Nord 2. Let me have my trade. It's always the same thing. Other in relationship with us, America feels that they can come up with a resolution, the sun coming out. The hope and the fear. Time is running out. You can read your own cards. And the final outcome for this, things moving very quickly. The situation is moving very rapidly. Look, you can read these cards. You don't need me. I'm just here as window dressing. Most of you are good readers. It's about money and trade. And the experts have come in to try and keep this from happening. There's a peace offering coming over the issue of what? Money. Archangel Raphael. Son from the United States gets wish. Over the karma, justice ye shall pursue. He feels like he is justified. The rapid movement. He doesn't trust us. He's worried we'll create a new treaty that binds him because America doesn't honor their treaties. He doesn't want to be restricted. It's always the same with him. There's never, it's the same. It's always the same over and over and over again. We've been doing remote viewings on him for close to 4 years. It's always the same. You blocked me. You trapped me in these contracts. I can't get my, it's always the same. I think we can avoid war. I think that, as you can see from the cards, the U.S. is working very, very rapidly to try and create a new treaty with mediators, justice, to avoid war. I know other readers think that this is going to go to war. I still feel, because of the nature of Putin, when I go into his energy, and because of the nature of the cards, this is not, what's he going to win? A massacre? Tens of thousands of people dying? It's not rational. Right? It's not rational that, given his past history, he would have 130,000 of his own people march to their death, because NATO is not going to sit back and allow this to happen. So it's the guy, it's the weak guy that goes to the moon, to the moon, right? And just like relax, or let's have a cup of coffee. You have to save face a little bit. But I can't figure out why he can't win. He thinks that he's fighting the fight for God, or at least that's what he tells himself, that he's going to be like the Messiah of Russia. Because when I did a remote and put myself in his shoes, I saw the lights of Moscow shining on the world. So that's that. Okay, people are freaking out about the truckers. I got in on the truckers a few days ago. I saw the feds coming in. I saw the government coming in, police, soldiers, and literally dragging them out. Also, they are physically towing their trucks and telling them that you're going to be permanently banned from coming into Canada. You're going to be permanently banned from doing your job. It goes back to the remote from a few days ago where the message I got from Spirit is, we're done here. We've had enough of this crap, right? So we now have the police have come in, they've gotten an order out of Canada, similar stuff happening in the United States. We're not going to have you block emergency aid. Ambulances can't get through. Desperately needed resources can't get. We're not going to sit back and put up with this. Canada's not going to put up with it. The United States is not going to put up with it. So let's go ahead and look at the truckers, and then we'll open the floor to other people's questions if you want. And if the moderators could help, that would be awesome. Just show me the questions because I can't find all of them. It's a little complicated. All right. What is going on with the truckers? How is this going to end? I can't believe those remote views from last night. It's like everybody got bribed. It's very depressing. What's going on with the truckers? Just 4 cards. It's going to be over pretty soon. You can see Ace of Cups. Look, I think the police were very nice. If you leave this area peacefully, we're not going to tow your truck and we're not going to charge you, and then your boss is going to take away your license and you're never going to be able to have this job ever again. So we're going to go ahead and give you a couple hours to get out of here. Ace of Cups. You've been given a great opportunity to just leave. I can't guarantee your boss isn't going to still fire you, but we're recommending you leave. And then here, 2 of Cups, an offer to leave. There's a new beginning in the spring. Truckers are confused. It's almost like this weird energy. This is kind of reminds me of the people that were part of January 6th. In the sense that on January 6th, a lot of the people have come out of it and they feel like they were hypnotized, that they thought they were going to be freedom fighters. They said, we're freedom fighters, right? And then after the fact, it became this feeling like, what the heck did we just do? And then they became embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. Some of these people are going to be charged. Some of these people are going to be charged, and there's going to be an investigation to find out how this started, because there aren't that many hardliners. Say you have 100 truckers, maybe 12 are going to stick around and face going to jail. They're that stubborn. But even the stubborn ones get, you have a certain type of resistance happening. Has to do with some kind of partnership that took place. But I would say the feds are pretty strong going into this spring. I don't see the supply chain problems lasting. Something happens that by spring, a lot of this stuff gets resolved. And you can see charges the law coming in. So it's an investigation into how it got started. That's how it looks like to me, particularly the light coming out, which is the high priestess, has to do with hidden light coming out, the Torah, which is the law. And it's almost embarrassing how it ends, isn't it? So let's go ahead and we'll look and see if the Super Bowl is going to be affected. Is the Super Bowl going to be affected by the truckers? I would strongly advise them not to, because this looks like extremely high security and zero tolerance, which is something I've started. This type of games and temper tantrums are really wearing thin with Biden and anybody who's not insane. You can see here Wheel of Fortune. You can see logic prevailing. You can see the sword of justice. Confused. This does feel like a type of confusion, like they kind of lost their minds a little bit. Just boy, people are losing their families and everything as a result of this. Some of these truckers are in real trouble going forward. Look at this. They embarrass themselves, they embarrass their families, their families were dependent on their wages. What the heck are they doing? This is not gonna blow up in their face, and their families are really gonna start getting pissed at them. So I would strongly encourage them not to. Because that was like, when you get something like that, like Emperor is logic, sanity, Black women are being murdered every 6 minutes. Well, I would say it's because we live in a sick, sexist, racist world. It's more like, what can we do to stop the fact that Black women are dying every 6 minutes? What is happening with too much victimization of Black women in the United States? Probably in other countries as well. It's interesting because the subject, Black women, is seen as the empress, which is spiritual, divine mother, goddess. So she represents the feminine attributes of God. So that's a very deep idea, right? That misogynism, there she is. That misogynism is kind of an attack on God, the divine spirit, attack against Mother Earth, right? In the African Yoruba tradition, we think about these energies as like the feminine attributes of God, Oshun, the goddess of the river, right? So these are feminine aspects. I think it has to do with the fact that we're at war with the divine, we're at war with the feminine, a history of racism in this country, the fact that we don't value the lives of women, which is probably particularly women of color, but they emerge as the empress. So when we think about some of the most influential academics the voices that are emerging in the United States, many of them are Black women. Talking also here about a time when male spirituality, this idea has been coming up a lot lately of how men are made strong by the love of women. That that the love and the compassion and the acceptance that men receive from women who pray for them and support them, that it allows them to emerge into these empowered people that they need to become, is the King of Swords. So it goes back to the Lover's card. She looks towards God and spirit, and she becomes the muse. And through her love, he's able to be transformed into this powerful man. And then the King of Wands is Yehuda as the archetype, um, carries the symbol of Judah on his uh, throne. It's Leo energy, it's loyalty. It's almost like when men stopped respecting women and allowing themselves to be loved and supported by women, they lost their power as men and they lost their humanity. And that this war against Black women, this war against women, is bad for men's mental health, almost more so than it is for women, in the sense that they can't survive and function in the world without women. And so that kind of humility that comes from not fighting gender, not fighting someone, or not oppressing women, particularly women of color, the racism, the history of racism in this country, but by humbling ourselves and realizing that we need one another, that is our redemption. It's interesting, we enter into the time of the Eight of Pentacles, which is a time of us working towards mastery, working towards justice, truth. This is an entrepreneur's card too. It's kind of the person who starts a new tradition. And then the King of Swords is reason. But it's interesting question, Nova Theory, and I thank you for putting it out, putting the question out there, that I think it has there's a fear here of strong Black women, but ultimately, uh, it's through men's love and dependence on women that they become men. Is that a powerful concept? Thank you for that question. Not a deep concept. Same is true for us as women, right? I hate men, I hate men. But when you think about it, having a good father or a good man in your life is very healing for you as a woman, isn't it? Right? That we all need one another. I thank you, Nova Theory, for a beautiful question. All right. Let's do one more. I love playing for change. It's a good organization. Okay, so people want to know about the supply chain, what happened with the supply chain. People are frightened about inflation. So we're going to just focus now on inflation. I would say with this group, the number one question that I've been getting in my emails has to do with fears of inflation. And rightly so, because nobody can buy a house right now. Nobody can buy a car. Regular people can't buy a house right now. Can't buy a car right now. They're worried their 401s are crashing, right? If you do have mutual funds. So I just want to check first the inflation, and then I'll check I didn't get to do that last week. I apologize. I think we ran out of time, but we'll do the inflation first, and then the questions for last week about the stock market after that. Yeah, we had a lot of questions about that last week, and we just didn't get to them. All right, so this is about the inflation and the supply chain. Mark Rose is here. Hi, my love. All right. What is the problem with inflation in the supply chain, and when will it get resolved? We'll just do 4 cards so that we can get to everything today. I see it opening up. I think inflation, I think things are going to be better by June. By June, we could see a stabilization. The supply chain is going to start being fixed by spring, and then the prices should start dropping by this late spring, early summer, because you have a judgment coming in. You have strength coming in. This is also the time of Leo, which would be more like August. But then you have reason, right? And then you have with the world. So I would say latest by the time of Leo. But this is feeling more like supply chain problems are resolved by mid to late spring, and yeah, August. Definitely by August. I'll show you how I know. Oh, there's some illegal activity going on too. Let me show you. The judgment is resolved by when the summer is high, August time, and then here again, the time of Leo, resolution, financial, 9 of Pentacles. But look at the business, the investigation. King of Swords can be the military, etc. There's something going on here. Look at this. There was some kind of corruption here that happened. Codependency, addiction, something happened where this was partly fabricated. It wasn't all about COVID. And then the world problem gets resolved. And then this is a health card, which would indicate that part of the problems with COVID are also being resolved. But I am worried about animals. And I do think that this going to the deer and the possibly bird populations, etc., has me concerned that this thing is possibly going to be back in late fall. So, okay, so then people wanted to know about the stock market. So these were questions from last week. Okay. Getting a lot of questions done today. That's good. All right. What is going on with the stock market? Are we going to see a major crash in the stock market, or is it going to stabilize? True, Elaine Goad. I'm not buying I want to buy a car, but not right now. I was going to buy like a used Prius once I get over my fear of driving. Stock market. Okay, Linda, I'll do that next. It's going to be stabilized by the feds. The stock market's going to be stabilized by the feds. The financial situation looks stable, carrying the load. And then here is justice, meting out justice. And then the Queen of Pentacles, which is also my FBI card, by the way. Clarification over the money. Yeah, there's some kind of light coming in. They're supposed to raise interest rates 4 times, but if they do it gently, it's not going to be things moving on regarding carrying a load. I think it has to do with the fact that the feds are going to be raising interest rates. But The laws on the books, they've been pretty, liberal. They deregulated a lot of stuff under, Trump, and my concern is that you have companies that were deregulated that were potentially harming the environment when it came to disposing of waste, etcetera, and if everybody's doing that, then you've got a major problem on your hands, but, it makes you wonder if there's this kind of deregulation happening, are we able to have anybody even go to jail if they are manipulating? I know that they're now pushing a law through so that Congress people cannot be buying stocks, etc., while they're working in Congress because they seem to be doing awfully well on the stock market, much better than the average American citizen. For some reason, like they seem to know when to short a stock, etc. There's some confusion here. And then walking away from a battle they cannot win, and it's with the feds. So I think there was a little bit of stock trading. We bailed out some companies that had engaged in some pretty questionable behavior back in 2008, I think it was. Elaine, I have spent a couple $1,000s on professional driving lessons. But I just got to keep doing it. That's how I got my driving license. Thank you, Christopher Guala, for a $20 donation to Feeding America. All right, so the next question we had to do with the rents. So is it rents? We'll look at house. Let's do house prices first. Any of you wanting to buy a house right now? I want a cottage in the woods, but first I have to, again, learn to drive a car. Then I'll buy a cottage in the woods. See, I thought, okay, I'll live frugally for like 10 years or whatever, and then I'll be able to buy a house or a little tiny cottage or something. And so I did that. And then I thought, well, now I can't do it because I'm going to probably need a car if I go out, so it's always something, right? All right, let's look at housing prices. Oh my goodness. Housing price is going to come down in 2022. Housing prices. Oh, interesting. There's a concern that a lot of the land is being bought up. Real estate companies are coming in from other countries, China, etc. They're buying up the land, they're building condos, they're building houses, and then prices are being fixed, right? There's not a lot of single person homeowners, that sort of thing. However, again, you have this kind of moderating influence. I think it's going to be by this fall. Page of Pentacles, the money, and then 10 of Cups, happy family, and then here's the Justice Department coming in, or justice, balancing out things. And then King of Wands, the perfect judge, loyalty. Something's going to happen that alleviates some of the stress on people trying to buy homes. The economy, the green economy really takes off at the third and fourth quarter this year. This almost looks like green housing, like those new types of house building that's eco-friendly. Look at this. Green economy really takes off. The old way of doing business, I really feel like this is switching very, very rapidly to a different economy. Yeah, Six of Swords. Give it till fall. Things, it starts to slow down and drop around fall. They were too inflated. People got too greedy, and then people just said, "Enough, I'm not paying these prices," and so it reaches a tip, in the coming months, and then you have a slowing down, it slows, and then it starts to drop around if you follow the energy around fall. Oh, that's good that, Biden is doing more public housing. Okay, let's look at rent prices. You know, they should have rent control in major cities, shouldn't they? I hear, Melissa Miller, that a lot of people from Hawaii cannot afford to live in Hawaii. It's kinda like me. I was born in Bremerton, Washington. I'm a Seattle girl. I can't afford to live in these places. I have a rent-controlled place in Portland, but now Portland prices are becoming as bad as Seattle. I'm glad I got in here at the rate I got in here, right? Yeah, I mean, who thought Washington was gonna become unaffordable? Washington? All right, rent prices. Rent prices. Stable. Same card 3 times. Oh, did you hear about the fact that a lot of companies now are going virtual, so all their offices are shutting down? It's happening here in downtown area, and it's also happening in downtown Los Angeles. They're converting them into lofts and condos and apartment buildings. So that's more homes down to people don't wanna go to the office. Who wants to deal with LA traffic? I mean, come on now. So, stable rent prices. Page of Pentacles is earth, it's stability. Hmm, law could get involved, protecting renters' rights. Ooh, devil. And then final outcome, transformation of the situation. This looks a lot like something Bernie Sanders would propose in the sense that this is looking a lot when you look at these cards like rights for renters. Boy, it takes forever to get progressive laws passed after that kind of damage, isn't it? You can see here the Empress over stabilization. You can see over the sort of justice, research, the scholars, the devil walking away from the devil, and then transformation, 10 of cups, which would lead me to think that there's a lot of new programs that are going to be coming up. Also, like I said, a lot of the buildings that used to house companies are now going vacant and can be converted into lofts, condos, and apartments because companies don't need the space anymore because people have gone virtual, which in and of itself is really good for the environment, right? Because it means less people are driving. So I would say with those cards were pretty good. Would you agree? Yeah, so pretty good. Yeah, nobody wanted to live in Washington and Oregon. It was like Hicksville. What do you got out there? Apples? Willamette Valley apples. We got apples. We got some cows. This is why I never became a prepper lunatic because I live in cow country, right? Tillamook's up the road. Tillamook cheese, right? All my friends are farmers. I grow stuff. I just go to the farmer's market. It's on Ninth, like um so if you're even if you're not a vegetarian, they've got some of the best beef in America here in Oregon and bison now. Vacation rentals, definitely in Malomere. So the vacation, I think she's talking about like the Airbnb. All right, so I think we're just about done here. It's 12:23. If you guys need me to do one more quick, uh, Allentown area, toxic chemicals in the air from B. Braun. That doesn't surprise me because when I went into the remote view on the Trump administration, they had lowered standards, and so every little company had lowered its standards, which was creating potentially an environmental disaster. Yeah, I'm not gonna buy a house now. When the prices drop, I'd love to have a nice little cottage somewhere, but I also don't need to have a little cottage somewhere because, I kinda like to be free. Yvonne McCullough says, "The NSA and other agencies that you mentioned have empaths of their own." I don't know, maybe. I would think maybe they do. I mean, haven't they kind of I think they didn't they prove remote viewing? They did some clinical studies, I think they actually proved that some of this stuff was scientifically provable, but that's why I always date everything, but, it makes sense 'cause, I thought, "Okay, I finished up with the State Department, I'll go into the CIA," and I was like, "Shh." I'm like, "Well, maybe not today." Same with the NSA, "Shh." It's just like, static on a TV. It's like, maybe I have to just focus on one no, I did. I focused on how I couldn't get anything. Anyway, it is what it is. Bison, yeah. Has great organic catnip? Well, I'll tell Mila that, she'd be happy to hear. Oh, does the Queen have COVID? Oh, I certainly hope not. Let's see how the Queen of England is doing. The Queen of Britain and the Commonwealth, my apologies. Britain and the Queen of Britain and the Commonwealth, yes. How is she doing? How is Queen Elizabeth doing? All right, how is the Queen doing? So Joel Tilson regarding senior housing, that looked like they were stabilizing it and that the government was coming in to stabilize the stock market and housing. It looked also like there was some benefits from the government in answer to your question. Oh, this is a really difficult time for the Queen. I feel energetically incredibly isolated. I feel like I'm more alone than ever. I feel, this was really hard on her, the loss of her husband. I also feel energetically that I am relying on Charles a lot. He's really going to have to step in and be the king now. This is something that I've talked about in the past that now is the time to begin the process of transition. Um, this is Charles. It's happening very quickly. Could happen by this summer that we see a transition. She's grieving. She's grieving the loss of her husband. When you lose a spouse that you've been with for 50 years or however long they were together, it's really hard to have a desire to continue on. And she's at a point now with these types of cards where there's a kind of willingness that she's going to be passing. And I really feel like the family is really stepping up to the plate. They're there for grandma. They're there to prepare for this transition. She has a nice star over her. Yeah. New contract for Charles coming in. He's slowly being given legal responsibilities he didn't have before. Isn't that nice the way they're doing it, though? Oh, he went into quarantine? Oh, truth is coming very quickly over her grief. Yeah, she's also getting some facts out or information out. It could be documents, written documents. There's some legal stuff that has to be signed and taken care of. You can see the Three of Pentacles over Charles, messages by ground, could be a document. And then I don't predict death, but I will say something is transformed with Star sometime this summer, possibly. All right. Charles went into quarantine. Well, I hope he's all right. If not, given the kind of energy I feel, the way that they're being responsible, the serious meetings that they're having, the documents that are being signed, this type of energy, I think that when she does pass, they'll be ready to continue on. All right, my dears. That was really fun. Yeah, Charles was vaccinated. They were all vaccinated. Thank you so much, everybody. This was really a fun reading this week. It was exhausting last night. Did you see those notes I had? Oh well. It was fun. But I might have a nap now. All right, if you're haven't had a chance to do so yet, it would be great if you could just push the like button just because it really helps the channel. Thank you, everybody who has joined the channel. It really, really helps, and I appreciate it. Be sure and check us out Tuesday at 5 p.m. if you are signed up as an elder and an empath. We are having our weekly meeting where we teach people how to do HCRV. Our goal is so that everybody will learn how to do HCRV. And then on Saturdays or Thursdays, we have open to subscribers the hot topics. And then Saturdays at noon, we have all the members get together and we do healing work together, and we do free blitzes for the subscribers, personal readings if you need them. It's a great way to get free tarot readings for $2.99 a month. Anything else I need to say? Yes, if you need to come in to see me for a reading, I do phone readings. And you can go through tarotwithwhimsy.com. If you need just a quick blitz, and it's just a 5-10 minute question, you can do that through Wizio, and the information is below. You send me the question and I send you back a video response. It usually takes 48 hours, and you'll get your response back through Wizio. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love Spa Day too. I just love we get together and we take care of each other. Healing and blitzes. Absolutely. Love and light, everybody. Thank you so much. I love seeing you all, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Take care. Please support the other readers. All right.